They're here. It's the Fitness Retriever Podcast starring Peter Weintraub and Evan Freeman.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Fitness Retriever Podcast. I'm Peter Weintraub.
And I'm Evan Freeman.
And today we're going to actually be doing this both with audio. We're going to have an audio version up for you guys on SoundCloud and iTunes. We're also going to be posting this live stream. We're going to try to do this the rest of the time on social media. Stop doing that.
I can see myself.
All right. So, Evan, what are we talking about today?
Today we are talking about sugar addiction.
Well, food addiction.
Yeah, food addiction. Mostly sugar.
Yeah, it's sugar, starch, things like that. So, we come across a couple of different types of clients. Obviously, our business is looking to help people lose weight. And unfortunately, a lot of people have a lot of trouble getting off of some of the foods that make them overweight. So obviously, if you've listened to our show earlier at an earlier point, you know that it's either sugar or starch that they tend to have a reaction to. And some people, they're able to just cut it out cold turkey, get on the program, and they just continually lose weight. But there are others, Evan, who have a very difficult time due to the food addictions that they're going through.
Yeah, sugar is extremely, extremely addictive. I know people who can't go without it. You try to cut it out, and all of a sudden you wake up and there's an empty box of Oreos on your bed and it just comes all over your face.
Right.
So it's definitely one of the hardest things to kick. I know a lot of cultures have a lot of food that involves a lot of rice or pasta. Yeah, Italians, Portuguese, South American cultures. Yeah. It's a lot of starch, and it's really, really not good for you. If you look, a lot of these cultures have a lot of overweight people.
Yes. Yeah, and in fact, I forget what country it's in. Shit, I gotta remember this shit. That
would be helpful.
There was a South American country that was studied in the early 1900s, where basically they wanted to study starvation. And what they actually found, the women in this culture were actually the ones who did a lot of that manual labor. They would be out in the fields all day lifting a lot of stuff. And you think because they're active and also malnourished, they would have been underweight. They ate about 800 calories a day, and somehow they were all morbidly obese despite working a lot and not eating. And the reason for that is that the foods they were rationed were high in starch and sugar. So, and they're also, as we've mentioned on earlier shows, that there are neurological studies that have shown that the receptors in our brain go off in much the same way when we ingest sugar or starch as they would as if a drug addict was getting his or her fix.
Yeah, it's the same thing with going back to the Oreos. If you have, a cocaine addict who tries to go cold turkey and then they have that one taste of drugs again, then most of the time they OD.
Yeah. Because
you're trying to re-up that feeling, and you just binge.
Right. So what we're going to do today, guys, is first, there are two things you need to do. And obviously, I'm sure you already know, you need to find a way to substitute or get off sugar and starch. But what you need to do before you even start thinking about that is you have to be able to look at yourself in the mirror and realize, and I had to do this myself, and I've talked about this on former shows, and he'll attest to this. I am a sugar addict. I'm also a grain addict. So I had to look at myself in the mirror one day because if you know my story, I got very overweight in college. I gained 70 pounds in the span of 3 months. No joke. It was fucking ridiculous. And I started losing weight. I lost about half of it through calorie counting, omitting fast food and soda, and some basic shit that I'm sure you probably tried. But then I got stuck. And a lot of the reason was I wasn't entirely cutting this stuff out. I was giving myself cheat days or cheat weeks, which returned to cheat weeks, or even cheat meals. I was never actually staying the course all the time. So it took me actually looking in myself in the mirror 5 or 6 years down the road, and I stood exactly the same fucking weight for that entire time, and say to myself, I'm addicted to this shit. I need to find a way to get off of it. And when I finally made that change, that's when I really lost the rest of my weight and got into the shape I am now.
Yeah, you won't believe the things Peter did in back alleys for starches and sugar.
Yeah, it's like it was like playing with Leonardo DiCaprio on the basketball there.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So all right. So I guess then we'll start with sugar first. So obviously sugar's everywhere. If you have a sweet tooth, ice cream, cookies, cupcakes, whatever the fuck you like. Also, a lot of processed foods, whether they advertise it or not, there's high fructose corn syrup in there, dextrose. There's sugar in there. There's sugar in a lot of different foods. So often, Evan, what people will turn to first, so they'll be okay, I need to get off sugar. I'm going to go to artificial sweeteners. Bad idea. Let's tell them why.
Artificial sweeteners are man-made. They're not meant to go into your body. You're really only meant to ingest natural things. This is why people who eat a lot of fast food or a lot of processed food get diabetes and cancer. Your body is not equipped to process this. So if you go to artificial sweeteners, a lot of the times over extended period of time, you can develop cancer.
Right. And also what it does is it lowers your metabolic rate as well. So in the short term, you may think, oh, it's not sugar, so it's not going through the insulin resistance cycle. I'm not acquiring fat. That's not so. Your metabolism slows. Everything you eat is stored as fat, not just the carbs. So that puts you in a bad spot. It also fucks up your gut bacteria, which then leads to the cancer, the heart disease, and all the other shit that it's been linked to. So you don't want to go that route. Instead, you want to go the route of organic stevia leaf extract. And stevia is a plant found in South America. It has no effect on your blood sugar levels. And as a result, it's pretty good for you. And I use it for my coffee and just about everything.
Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're getting the all-natural organic stuff. You don't want to have any artificial sweeteners, none of that stuff. No diet soda. First of all, you shouldn't be drinking soda anyway if you're trying to lose weight. But diet soda is even worse for you than regular soda because it has that artificial sweetener in it.
Yeah, guys. Yeah, if you really have to, I'd rather have sugar than artificial sweetener. Like, that's really the hierarchy there. So artificial sweeteners are worse for you in many cases than sugar is. So stevia is the way to go. And unlike Evan said, make sure that in some brands like stevia in the raw, and I'm not trying to shit on any particular brand, they have chemicals in it like xylitol, erythritol, and even dextrose, which is a sugar. And they use that, even though they say, oh, it's pure stevia, it's not. So you got to look at the back. You got to look at the ingredient list. You got to make sure that the only ingredient is stevia leaf extract, preferably organic.
Yeah. All right. Another issue a lot of people have are starches.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, I eat sweet potatoes because they're better than regular potatoes. I'm eating vegetables. I'm eating corn. I'm eating beans because beans are high in protein.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with these things are that if you're trying to lose weight, the starches are it's not going to be beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to lower the amount of starches that you're intaking.
Right.
Things like potatoes, corns, any type of legumes, grains, bread, pasta, rice, all that stuff needs to be limited or eliminated if you're trying to lose weight.
Right, absolutely. So let's start with the grains because that does even more damage than the actual vegetables. So grains today are not the same as they were when our ancestors started cultivating them thousands of years ago. Over a period of that time, we have we've selectively engineered them with other crops to make them more desirable. Einkorn wheat, which is the original wheat on this planet, is a very tall and also a very wide crop, which isn't conducive to farming. So what they've done is they've crossbred with a bunch of different plant species, and they've been able to make it shorter and more compact. Now they're genetically modified as well to have some different, different characteristics, whether it's pliability, whether it's taste, etc. And while it's worked in terms of being able to cultivate more in the same sized fields, the problem is they've changed the genetic makeup of it. The gluten in today's wheat is not the same as the gluten in yesterday's wheat, which is why there's so much more gluten intolerance today than there was back then. Obviously, not a lot of people have that, but still, everybody to a degree does not go well because, like Evan mentioned, the artificial sweeteners, same shit with today's wheat and grains in general. They're not what they were even 5 or 6 decades ago. So we're putting things into our body that are not meant to go into our body.
Yeah, it's a big issue. And the other issue, everyone knows, we talk about this all the time, is macronutrients, is carbs. And we were taught in elementary school the food pyramid,
Yes.
which is garbage.
Yes.
It's pure garbage.
Yes.
In fact, I like to use that to store my other garbage. That's how bad it is. It's basically a big dumpster.
Yeah.
But basically, we were fed all this stuff, and carbs are sugars.
Mm-hmm.
And we said this a million times. They're going to say it again. If you have a high carb diet, you're more likely to develop things like diabetes because your body becomes insulin resistant.
Yes.
So forget the food pyramid.
Yes. Flip it on its head.
South Park style.
Yeah. Yeah. And South Park has a great episode about that, actually. But yeah, in any event, carbs are sugars. And if you take an introduction to chemistry class, when did we take it? Like 10th grade or something?
Yeah, 10th grade.
Yeah. In 10th grade. So in high school, they actually teach you that of the 3 macronutrients, carbs are a non-essential one, meaning our bodies do not need to ingest them to produce them. Our energy source should be our fat. So when we're eating a high-carb diet, we're going through a process called glucosis. That's right.
Yes.
And glucosis basically is we need carbs, and carbs are instant energy. So you eat them, you got energy instantly, which is good. Aside from the fact that if you don't burn all that energy off, and you're never going to burn it all off, because if you've ever used a fitness watch or something like that to track your caloric output throughout a workout, you can kill yourself for 2 or 3 hours. It's not a lot of calories that you're burning. And if you're ingesting quite a bit of calories or carbohydrate beforehand, it's really not undoing anything. Any excess is stored as fat. That's not what you want to do. So you want to be going through a process called lipolysis, which is when you're using your fat stores as energy, because that also lasts long. It's a slower burning energy source. And that way you're able to go for longer periods of time, go through more intense workouts without needing nearly as much rest.
Yeah, especially things, simple carbohydrates like grains, rice, stuff like that. That stuff gets burned very quickly, and it's not sustainable. So you're not actually doing yourself any good by over-ingesting things like that in order to try to give yourself more energy to exercise. Right. That's why this ridiculous carbo loading that all the high school teams do the night before, where they eat massive amounts of pasta, it doesn't do anything.
Right, and a lot of them burn out and they have issues. And actually, there's a doctor named Dr. Stephen Finney, I forget the name of his book, but he's actually done a lot of studies on ultra endurance athletes, like ultra marathon runners, people who run 100 miles instead of a 26 standard, or people who go through Ironmans and things like that.
So crazy people.
Yeah, but
insane people.
Yes, but they used to carbo load and they used to have a lot of issues. Now they actually do a high fat diet. I'm talking 70 to 80% of their intake is fat. The rest of it's protein, and 1 to 3% is carbohydrate. And actually, they've measured how much energy in reserves they have left over after running these crazy long, intense races. And they could go again if they wanted to. When people are carb loading, maybe they get through the race, but they're done afterwards. They're spent for a while. So it just goes to show you that that's not the way you want to go. But anyway, to substitute for starch, guys, I know, especially culturally, like Evan said in the beginning, South America, Italians, a lot of different people.
Portuguese.
Yes, a lot of different people around the world ingest quite a bit of starch. But luckily, we have something called the internet. That's probably how you're listening to or watching this right now.
What is the internet, Peter?
I have no idea. But
is it here? It's all around us.
Yeah, it really is. Okay, come back. So basically, what you need to do is look up healthy recipes. For example, if you go on our website, fitnessretriever.com/blog, you look at our blog, one of the last posts is from my client, Michelle, who posts a healthy recipe of the week for my other clients so that they can have stuff. So they feel that they're not missing out. She makes a cauliflower pizza. Basically, all it is cauliflower and cheese and some, healthy tomato sauce and olive oil. And that's it. And she bakes it. It's healthy. It tastes very similar, if not better. And it's good for you. There are ways to have your cake and eat it too. It may take some extra preparation, but at the end of the day, would you rather do that and be lean and in shape, or would you rather continue to eat garbage, stay overweight, and potentially develop diabetes and other cancers and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think that's everything, Peter. You want to tell them where they can find us on the internet?
Yeah, so guys, tweet us. I love the new Twitter name, @FitRetriever. So no more Fitness Retriever, @FitRetriever. Also, you can email us at info@fitnessretriever.com. Any topics, questions you have. We're going to start doing this whether we're together in the same room like we are now, or live stream through Google Hangout or something.
So we'll figure it out. So do look for the new Fitness Retriever YouTube page that we will be putting up shortly. Obviously, it's already up. So that's how you're going to be watching this anyway. So lack of communication.
Right. All right, guys. Well, have a great night. We hope you enjoyed this, and we'll talk to you guys next time. Have a good one.